Looking for a spring travel destination? Try the Treefort Music Fest coming to downtown Boise, Idaho, March 26th through the 30th. You can catch the full lineup of over 400 artists at treefortmusicfest.com/lineup. 5-day GA passes start at $366, but the prices are going up March 1, so grab them while you can. Other ticket types include front-of-the-line access, single-day full fest, main stage, single-day, and 4-day. Not to mention hotel packages and fort badges. Find your tickets now at treefortmusicfest.com/tickets.
Las Vegas has really good coffee. That's just facts. So today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm talking to Vegas coffee blogger Melissa Martinez about all the new coffee shops and coffee trends around the valley. With these recommendations, you might even find a new favorite spot. It's Thursday, February 20th. I'm Sarah Lohman, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Melissa, what is your criteria for the perfect cup of coffee?
Ooh, I love that. I'm a latte girl, so you will always catch me ordering lattes at any coffee shop. And what really sets them apart is the syrups they're using.
Oh.
If they are able to make organic syrups in-house, meaning like not prepackaged or anything like that, it takes away like all the artificial sweetness. So I think it really makes the coffee shop stand out.
Mm.
And then also the type of beans they're using. Are they using like a local roaster, which I think is the best option just because it's like the best peak freshness in the coffee beans.
Okay, so who has the good syrups and who has the locally roasted beans here in Vegas?
So those are actually some of my favorite cafes in Vegas. Like I think if I really to say like my top five, I think what they all have in common is the fact that they use a local roaster and they make their own syrups. I think my number one favorite in Las Vegas and the Henderson area is Evergreen Cafe. It's a relatively newer shop.
Okay, yeah, I hadn't heard of it.
Yeah, maybe like two or 3 years old. I can't quite remember, but they make all of their syrups in-house. And what I really love about Evergreen is that they're all about sustainability. So they limit the batches of pastries that go out to just minimize food waste in the coffee industry. And they also partner with UNLV Hospitality to allow their students to have the opportunity to showcase their own type of creation. And then if customers are purchasing that pastry or coffee drink, they get a portion of those profits, which I think is amazing.
Have fun. Have you had any particularly tasty ones that UNLV students have designed?
There was this tiramisu cookie. I think the barista that made it was, I think their name was Casey. I can't remember exactly if that was the right barista, but I do remember it being a tiramisu cookie, and it was incredible. I loved it so much. Tiramisu is also my favorite dessert, though.
You love coffee. You're not like, this is not an act. You love it.
Oh, yeah. It's like everything. Yeah, it's a definitely an addiction and a passion.
It is everything. All right, so that's like your top pick right now. Do you have a second place for like homemade syrups and local roasted beans?
Yeah, I think one of the other cafes that's a local roaster specifically is Yaw Coffee Roasters. Like you can see the roasting machine as soon as you walk in, so you know the beans are going to be the best. And he keeps the menu so simple. Like it's drip coffee, and then I think their lattes are called Yachties, which I think is super funny. And he uses only oat milk, which is amazing because I prefer oat milk in all my lattes.
I was going to ask. Yeah. Why do you like oat milk the best?
Just because I don't really drink dairy often. So I think it just makes the latte a lot creamier. I do know that Yaw is starting to like have their coffee beans featured in some different cafes locally.
Yaw is on Charleston and Rainbow. And you mentioned that Evergreen also uses their beans too. Okay. So what is a really unusual coffee spot in the city?
Unusual.
And you can take that to mean whatever way you want to.
Okay, I think I wouldn't say unusual, but I think one that I just tried super recently, like maybe 2 weeks ago, that was so unique was this coffee trailer called Pups and Cups, Las Vegas. It's a Las Vegas mobile coffee trailer, and she is partnering with local animal shelters to kind of showcase which dogs are up for adoption.
Oh.
And if people are interested in partnering with her, you can even take in your own donations for the shelter and she'll make sure that, they get delivered. And she names all her specialty drinks different like dog type names. And I think I got like the shepherd's latte, which was like a dark chocolate and salted caramel, and it was
Oh.
delicious. I loved it so much. It's amazing to see like coffee with a cause. I don't think that that's
Hmm.
super common in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And then just in general, like I've been noticing a ton of mobile coffee trailers popping up across the city.
I was gonna ask. So when it's a trailer, it's actually mobile. Do you feel like this is a big new trend?
Yeah, and I've seen it done really well in like other major
Yeah.
cities. So to see that really coming into like the Vegas market, I think it's going to be incredible. And just from talking to some of these like mobile cafes, unfortunately there are some roadblocks for them to
Hmm.
maybe not be able to be parked in a specific, neighborhood. Like
We don't have a lot of street vendors in Vegas.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's definitely a barrier for some of these places. But I think if they're able to build the partnerships, there's a couple of them that have like weekly schedules on their Instagram. So Pups
Mm.
and Cups, I know that they've been posting weekly schedules. And then there's other one is a Latino owned coffee trailer. It's called Tres Niñas. They just started operating last month, I believe. So very new. And they also
Mm.
are posting their weekly schedules. And then there's like a couple other ones that mostly focus on doing like pop-ups at like farmers markets
Mm.
and more like special events. And one of those is actually my one of my favorite cafes in the city. I wish they had like a brick and mortar. It's called Maria Valiente. They have amazing coffee. They make all of their syrups as well.
Mm.
And like I said, unfortunately for them, they are a bit limited. So you can only catch them usually like at a market in the alley, a local farmers market, and usually for special events. But
If you do see them, get it.
yes, yes, I think that's the biggest thing with these mobile trailers. Like you have to be on their Instagram to really see when they're going to be out, maybe hopefully somewhere near you.
Yeah. I mean, we've got the weather for, more outdoor vendors most of the year. I would love to see more mobile coffee vendors like this too.
Hmm.
Um, so that's both trendy and innovative, but I'm just curious, is there another coffee shop out there that you would consider really innovative in something it's doing?
Yeah, I think the another one that I again with the mobile one is called and I just found this one, so I haven't personally tried it, but it's on my list to go to.
Yeah.
It's called like Car Feteria. So in like almost like a cafeteria, but car feteria. Um,
Uh-huh.
and so they only operate on the weekends. Again, you can probably find them on Instagram, but they basically have like a whole espresso machine set up in the trunk of their car, and also sweetbread,
Incredible.
which is like pan dulce. So I believe the owner may be also Hispanic. But I think that I have never seen that before, like a coffee from a literal car. So I think that will be cool to see. It's definitely innovative in my opinion.
It sounds like a lot of these smaller vendors that we're seeing more Mexican and Central American coffee in the city. Would you say that that's something that's shifting right now?
Yes, definitely. I feel like I've been saying for years now, we do not have, especially as a Latina woman, like I
Mm-hmm.
noticed we do not have enough Latino inspired cafes. And especially when a lot of these coffee beans, they're sourced from like coffee farms in Central and South America.
Ecuador, Costa
Yes.
Rica. Yeah.
So it's really great to see that market growing here in Vegas. I feel like from the mobile ones that I mentioned, like Maria Valiente, the Carfeteria, Tres Niñas, and then some of the brick and mortar ones. I think like the newest one that I saw was like Latin owned and operated was it's actually in the arts district. It's called Iwana and they're
Mm.
Colombian cafe. So I think that's super cool. It's really great coffee too. Very strong.
Ooh. So what do you think defines like I feel like Vegas has really good cafe culture, in this very like third wave post Starbucks kind of way. What do you think defines like a Central American style coffee that is like different from how Americans have broadly been treating coffee? What should we look for?
I think it really depends on the roaster, like where these beans are being sourced from. Something that I've noticed in other major cities is these cafes will create like this kind of co-op or partnership with coffee farms directly in Central and South America. So I think that's something that I would love to see more of in Las
Mm-hmm.
Vegas. I haven't really heard of, those type of partnerships. I do know that there is one small business. Her name on Instagram is Las Tres Maganda, she has family that has a local coffee farm, and she is able to get those beans sourced directly from there for her small business. I think as of right now, she's mostly just selling the beans.
Mm,
But at one point, she did do kind of like a home coffee shop. So I think it'd be great to see
mm.
her kind of expand on that and see more local businesses have that partnership with local coffee farms.
Yeah, and as far as flavors, I like it when my coffee involves a little cinnamon. And I don't normally do syrups, but I do love sweetened condensed milk, which I feel
Hmm.
like Mexico uses very well. And I also appreciate like the Thai and Vietnamese spots throughout the city too. Like Coffee Religion does an awesome Vietnamese iced coffee, which I've also been lightly told I'm not allowed to get before we record anymore because it is coffee with a shot of espresso in it and sweetened condensed milk, but it is so good. It's like one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely the perfect combination of like really strong coffee, but with a
Mhm.
perfect balance of sweetness. I love that.
Sweet and a little fatty and a little like that
Mhm.
caramelized flavor too.
What sort of promises have you made to yourself this year? Maybe get in better shape or eat healthier, save more money, travel somewhere new. What about discovering a new culture by learning a new language? With Babbel, you can do that in just a few weeks. I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and I'm having such a good time learning Spanish on Babbel this year. I'm taking a trip to Mexico City in the spring, and Babbel is giving me the Spanish foundation that's going to make my trip so much better. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons, handcrafted by more than 200 language experts, get you to begin speaking your new language in 3 weeks, or at whatever pace you choose. And because conversing is the key to really understanding each other in a new language, Babbel is designed using practical, real-world conversations. And one way they do that is with their own podcasts. I'm a podcast listener. I'm guessing since you're listening to this podcast, you are too. And I have been getting ready for my Mexico City trip by listening to Babbel's conversational podcasts. There's a short conversation you listen to, then an instructor talks you through what happened, and then you listen again, and then you catch everything when you listen that second time. There's also a great read-along transcript, too, which I love. The one I did today was with Maria and Carmela trying to make dinner plans, but Carmela is so busy. She's way too busy with work and yoga, but finally they agreed on brunch on Saturday. Studies from Yale, Michigan State, and other universities continue to prove that Babbel works. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester at college. So let's get more of you talking in a new language. Babbel is gifting CityCast listeners 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Babbel.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Hey friends, if you love CityCast, there's a way to do us a solid by helping us win Best Vegas Podcast in the Las Vegas Weekly's Best of Vegas Awards. Even if you only just want to vote for this category, it literally takes 10 seconds. So head on over to lasvegasweekly.com/Best of Vegas 2025 and find Best Vegas Podcast under Arts and Entertainment. Las Vegas is putting out great weekly and monthly pods for sure, but if you found even one episode of our daily podcast to be indispensable, whether it was our in-depth reporting about the Tesla tunnels, life in a sex club, changing gambling odds, or the best new restaurants you've never heard of, we'd find your vote for us to be an excellent thank you. So head on over to lasvegasweekly.com/Best of Vegas 2025 and vote for CityCast Las Vegas.
When I head out to a coffee shop, it's usually because I want to get some good writing done, and I usually like to treat myself to like a little breakfast too. So, what are some coffee shops that are great for food, and what do you like to order?
I feel like Aware is they have done really well in the last recent years. I think within the last year alone, they expanded to 3 locations when they were
Mm,
only at one location for multiple years. So they're pretty spread out between like the Centennial Hills area, Southwest, and Henderson, I think is where their 3 locations are at. And I love Aware because they have some of the most unique specialty drinks and seasonal drinks. So they really play with different type of flavors from all sorts of countries and origins. And again, they make all of their syrups and sauces
mm.
in-house. And I think they have a pretty simple food menu, but I think what they do it well. Like I think one of their menu items is like a fig grilled cheese or
Oh,
something like that. And it has like some
okay.
sauteed onions, a fig jam, and it's
Mm.
so incredible. Their side salads are so simple, but so great as well. And so definitely think you can't go wrong with anything on their menu. And every time I've stopped in any of their locations, you always see people kind of just working,
Mm.
catching up with friends. They're always busy, but I think it's definitely a great spot. And I think if you're looking for somewhere a little bit more quieter, maybe to eat, but also get some work done,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Roma Cafe. I believe that's in like the Summerlin side of town. They have a much more expansive food menu, like different toasts and salads and even flatbreads and a ton of pastry options, which I think, I've only had their pastries and their coffee and I really enjoyed it, but I definitely noticed the ambiance being a lot quieter and more, maybe a bit of a better space to work from.
And comfortable to work in, because there are some places that I feel like don't really love it when you set up at the laptop.
hmm It is very hard just because sometimes they're so limited, like with outlets,
Yeah.
in some cafes, but there's some good spots to work from. And then there's also another one, more like it's kind of near the airport. It's called Savor.
Mm.
I definitely think that gives probably the most third way coffee shop vibes. It's very bright and airy. They keep their menu very simple, but I've noticed a lot of people usually working from Savor directly, like just in the cafe, and it's a great spot as well.
So what about, you mentioned pastries, both at Evergreen and then at Roma too. Are there some other places that you really love for their like sweet stuff?
For sweet pastries, ooh, that's a good one. I think in the Spring Mountain area, Take It Easy, they have really good like I would say like a sister brand to Makers and Finders
Mm.
because I believe it's the same owners, but they have really incredible pastry. It's like I think that's Take It Easy really focuses on like the pastry side. And so they have really great options. And I think like within the last hour of operating, they whatever pastries are left, they have them on half off, which I think
Ooh.
is great. A great way to like motivate people to go and just again minimize some of the food waste in the coffee industry. They also have really unique drinks. I think one of the drinks is like a shaken espresso that I really like from there.
Mm. What is a shaken espresso?
It's basically where, I mean, there's multiple ways to make it, but they will put the espresso over ice and shake it up. And it depends on what type of syrups that they want to shake it with. I think the one I had was horchata. So it
Mm.
had like kind of like a cinnamon flavor to it. And it was really perfect and like creamy. And I loved it.
So I've noticed that a lot of coffee shops in Las Vegas close really early. And I'm sort of used to being in cities where these third spaces stay open a little bit later, but things here tend to shut down between like 3 and 5 p.m. But there
hmm
are a couple that are open a little later. Are there any spaces that you would recommend for like an evening writing session or even like a date? I date and like not everybody drinks.
Some of the coffee shops that I've noticed that close a little bit later, I think one of the more popular ones that you may have mentioned is Gabby in the Spring Mountain
Yeah,
area.
it's a
That was,
beautiful space. It can get crowded in there though.
yes, I feel like every time I've gone in, it is so hard to find a space, and
It's
it's usually,
chaotic.
people catching up. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. But another one that I feel like I haven't heard too many people talk about it is called Schemos Coffee, and it's in
Hmm.
Henderson. And they close usually around like 8 p.m. And
Okay.
when I went in, I really thought it was cool because in the front section of the cafe, it's just more like tabletops. You can kind of sit and hang, grab a bite to eat, grab a drink. But then they also have a back section if you just walk through like the little hall. And that back section has like couches and longer tables. So it's a great
Hmm.
place to study. I feel like it'd be great for college students, maybe trying to get some work done with like some classmates.
Yeah, I know Grouchy John's is open a little bit later, I think maybe till 8 or 9. And their drive-through, I think, is 24 hours. So if you are a student and you need some drive-through coffee, it's there for you. And one that I haven't tried out is Tous les Jours, which is like an Asian-inspired, like Asian French pastry cafe, but it's also a coffee shop. They have a couple locations throughout the city. Oh my gosh, and one of them closes at midnight. So they close at 9, 10 p.m., and midnight too. The midnight location is actually on Spring Mountain. So I haven't been there yet. They were already on my sort of to-do list, but now that I see that they're like a late night stop, I think I'm going to be heading by there pretty soon. So, what do you love the most about the coffee shops here in Las Vegas?
I think what I love most about Vegas cafes is just how there's some places that do branding really well, that really focus on like the style and their aesthetic. And I feel like you'll see that a lot throughout Instagram, where people go
Hmm.
really for just the ambiance of a cafe, which is really cool to see. And some of that being Rosalie in the Southwest. It's when you walk in, they decorate for every season. So I think right now it's decorated for
Mm.
like Valentine's, and it's so beautiful. And then when I went in the winter time around Christmas, and like you see Christmas trees everywhere and Christmas decor, and it's just very like such a cozy vibe. Then you see, some of the more aesthetic cafes that have been popular on Instagram, like Cafe Lola, where it's like everything
Mm.
pink.
Pink, yeah.
Yeah. And there's also one in Henderson. I think it's like an all pink cafe. Can't quite remember the name of it, but I think it's great to see some of these very like themed and branded cafes. And I've also just really liked that we're seeing more coffee shops also partner with small businesses. There's a coffee shop in Summerlin called Alchemy,
Hmm.
and I've seen them do this a couple of times, and I haven't been able to go just yet, but they partnered with a small business to do like a paint and sip kind of night.
Ooh.
So I definitely want to try to check it out. And then Evergreen in Henderson, they also really try to partner with local small businesses to kind of, I think one of the most recent partnerships they have was with a ceramics business. So
Hmm.
this person who makes like coffee mugs and plates, and the owners of Evergreen allow them to showcase some of their products in the cafe, which I think is really a really great way to support our community.
Melissa, how many cups of coffee do you have in a day?
This will be very surprising, but I only have 1 cup a day.
Oh, I love that though. Then you like
Yeah.
really savor it and appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I bet you're already thinking about where you're going to have coffee tomorrow.
I usually will, my to-go coffee is always at home. I love making coffee at home. I make my own syrups. I have my full coffee bar. But I really reserve the time to check out a new cafe with my husband and my dog. It's like
Hmm.
our favorite weekend activity to do together. So that's just like my favorite hobby to do with my
Oh,
family.
Melissa, it also sounds like you're like this close from opening up your own mobile coffee truck. So I can't wait to see it.
It is definitely a dream of mine to have my own cafe, and some of the things I mentioned, just like that connection to the Latino community.
Yeah.
Um, when I've gone to Mexico to visit family, I've visited like local coffee farms and already trying to get an idea of what it would be like to source from a coffee farm in
Yes.
Mexico.
Melissa, yes.
But it is a dream of mine and my family. It's currently on pause because I am expecting my first child, but hopefully,
Yay!
yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably wise. Maybe not the best time, but sometimes life has other plans for us. Sometimes you're having a kid and opening a coffee shop, you know?
Yeah, so hopefully soon.
Well, I can't wait. You let me know when it opens. We will be there. My co host, David Figler, is a huge Vegas coffee person too. Loves it, loves coffee. We will be there. So keep us in the loop, okay?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, I should ask too, are there any last places that we didn't hit that you really love other than your future coffee trailer?
Yes, I will mention one other one that I really love, and this one's a popular one, so I hope that most of the Vegas community does know, but Neighbors Cafe in Southwest,
Hmm.
they have a really good chef, so and a pastry chef as well. So they have incredible pastries, really good quality food, and also good coffee. So Neighbors is definitely one of my favorite places to get amazing food and coffee. And then another spot I just tried over the weekend that I need to go back to try their food menu is called Chamanas.
Hmm.
And they use Dark Moon Roasters, so I would definitely consider it specialty coffee. And their food menu looked so, so good. It looked very, again, Latino inspired. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
try some of their dishes, but that's one of the spots I'm really excited to go back to.
Amazing. All right. Well, we have to follow along in all your coffee adventures. So could you shout out all your blogs and socials and everywhere we should follow you?
Yeah, so you can find me on TikTok and on Instagram at Melis Cafecito, or probably an easier way to search me up on Instagram is just Vegas Coffee Blogger, and I should be the first page that comes up. But yes, I love to showcase the newest coffee shops opening up, some of my favorite drinks, And then even how to become your own barista at home. I always share a lot of at-home coffee recipes.
All right, Melissa, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed this show, share it with a friend and make a date to go get some coffee. Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter for more great recommendations. And we'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care. Yeah.
They're on Charles. Yeah.
Sorry, that was so stupid. I'm a little caffeinated myself.
Yeah.
So it is. So yaw is YAW.